Hello, class. This is Dr. Washington stopping by. I just want to do a quick little review with you before you take your midterm. All of you that are still in the class are doing well, so I'm really happy about that. And, just know that you have a teacher that's on your side. I know we're experiencing a lot of difficulties right now with what's going on and a lot of challenges. But I do believe that we will get through this and we're going to be the better for it. Okay? So, anyway, I just want to go over some terms with you and kind of like give you some examples of what I'm looking for. As you see on your midterm, you receive some terms. So, you're going to basically define those terms and then you're going to apply those terms to the movie. So you're going to tell me each time you see where you can apply that term to the movie. Okay. As many examples as you can find, the better you'll do. Only a couple examples are needed, for each. Okay. So I'm going to go over some things and then I'll just kind of like some of you all send me questions about things where you just want an example. So I have those in my mind and I'll go over those in a minute. So I'm going to go over some formal definitions for you. So hang in there with me. So I'll give you the definition, then I will give you an example. Okay. So the first one is the functionalist perspective. It sees society as a complex system whose parts work together to promote solidarity and stability. The approach looks at society through a micro-level orientation and broadly focuses on the social structures that shape society as a whole. The functionalist perspective. So when you're dealing with that, I just want you to get in your mind a little circle. And in that circle, I want you to think of all the organizations, and you can use yourself, for example, and I'll use myself for your example. I deal with a lot of organizations and they affect my life. Okay. So if I'm thinking of a functionalist perspective, how do these organizations work together? Okay. I work at LA Trade Tech College. Okay. LA Trade Tech College receives money from the state. Okay. In the chancellor's office. Okay. And the chancellor's office oversees the LA Community College District. Okay. The college interacts with students. Okay. So that's another entity. The students come from families, right? The family goes to churches. Okay. Now you see how I'm pulling in all the different organizations? Well, the functionalist perspective is looking at how are all these organizations working together. So when you're watching a movie, do you see any organizations? And if so, how are they functioning together, okay, to make things work? Do you see the police working with the government? Politicians? Do you see politicians working with the people? What do you see? Okay, the functionalist perspective. Okay, the next one we want to look at is the interactionalist perspective. Okay, in sociology, this perspective is a theoretical perspective that understands social processes such as conflict, corporation, identity, formation as emerging from human interaction. What does that mean, Dr. Washington? Basically, it's saying if you have a friend, you can meet someone and you be totally different. Okay. I once met someone when I was younger. I used to have one, I'm a Christian just for the sake of identity. And when I was younger, I had one foot in the church and one foot out of the church. So I kind of like ignored all the biblical principles when I wanted to go out and party and do what I wanted to do. Okay. And I thought I was justified in doing it because that's what I wanted to do. Well, I met a friend who felt like you could not break any rules and, that you had to follow this XYZ in order to be in good standing with God. So when we met, we clashed severely. Okay. But after dealing with her, and I used to make fun of her. Okay. I used to make fun of her because I said, every time we go somewhere, why do you feel like you have to wear pantyhose? Like, you don't have to put pantyhose or stockings on every time you put on a dress or a skirt. Like, what is that about? Even with sandals on? So we laugh about it now, like 25 years ago, but We became friends, oddly enough. And so that struggle between the two of us and us interacting, we both caused each other to change the interactionalist perspective. So all of a sudden, I began to understand why she said that, I couldn't live that kind of lifestyle. So I changed from the interaction with her. And now, she'll wear some, sandals. She don't have on any nylons. And I laugh and I say, boy, dealing with me really changed you, huh? And she said, yeah, I don't think we're going to wear some nylons or stockings to the beach, okay? The interactionalist perspective is how do things change according to what happens in the interaction, okay? Another one we're going to deal with and that you'll be looking for is a conflict theory. Okay, do you see a conflict in a movie? What is a conflict theory? Suggested by Karl Marx. This theory claims basically that conflict, because of the composition of limited resources, the conflict occurs. Okay, so limited resources, then there's a conflict because there are limited resources. It holds that social order is maintained by domination and power rather than consensus and conformity. All right, so what does that mean? Conflict theory is saying that there are two opposing forces. So if I were to give you an example, I would say that there's people that are for abortion. There are people that are against abortion. There are people for abortion and they feel that people should choose what they want to do with their own body. But there's another group of people that feel that as soon as that baby is conceived, no matter how soon it is, that child, that seed is still considered a life. So these forces, these two organizations, or whatever you want to call it, they battle all the time. They battle in court. They try to get signatures. One wants to win. And according to what year it is, maybe abortion may be legal, then it's not legal, and this battle goes back and forth. Well, the conflict theory says that society is better as a result of what's happening with this battle or with this conflict, that we evolve as a society and we grow according to, with this conflict happening, it produces growth within the society. Okay, conflict theory. Do you see a conflict in the movie? What conflict do you see, and what is the resolution? Okay, what is the result of the conflict? Okay, organizational structure. That's another one I think that's on there, is a system that outlines how certain activities are directed in order to achieve the goals of an organization. These activities can include rules, roles, responsibilities. The organizational structure also determines how information flows between levels within the company. Okay, so I work at a college. The organizational structure at the colleges, we have a president, then we have 3 vice presidents, and then we may have 6 deans. And then under the deans, this is just the organizational structure. Then we have directors, and then we have clerical staff, and then we have, and this in no particular order because it kind of becomes equal going down. And then you have your instructors that on the academic side, and then you have your students. Okay, so that's the organizational structure. What organizations do you see, if any, in the movie? And what is the structure? Do you see police officers? Is there a captain, a chief? So just name the organization and then just let me know that you understand that there is a structure to that organization. No, you may not see in the movie all of the pieces to the organization, but just identify again what organization you see represented, and then just let me know that you can research and tell me what the hierarchy is there with the organizational structure. Okay, the next one I think that's on there is social stratification. Social stratification refers to a system by which a society ranks categories of people in a hierarchy. Okay, so that's simple enough. And in the United States, ours is simple. It's upper class, middle class, lower class. Now, some other places actually have many, many more than that. And if you can imagine, some have 6 different, they don't just have upper class middle class, lower class. The middle class is broken up into three. Like, what kind of job do you have? Are you a doctor in the middle class? Are you a teacher in the middle class? Or, do you work with your hands in the middle class? The lower class is, are you just poor, you have no job, or are you homeless and have no job? So, but nevertheless, it depends on what country you're looking at. And social stratification is looking at the ranking of people. Okay, so do you see a ranking there? Is there a hierarchy there? And so also when we're looking at social stratification, and we can also look at upper class, lower class, middle class, and you look at the people in the movie and you can see how it's affecting them according to where they're from. So don't just state that those things exist, like those levels exist, but what does that represent in the movie? Okay. Then there's a sociology of emotions. I'll just throw out some, and your job is to find the definition, okay? But the sociology of emotions is basically saying, where does the emotions of the people in the movie, where do they stem from? Are they, of course, they're learned emotions. Some, of course you feel emotions, but are they, or stem from the culture you're from? Is it from the neighborhood you're from? Where are the emotions in the that certain people deal with, where are they stemming from? Okay, the sociology of emotions. Then when we get to culture, you can briefly state the cultures that you're dealing with. Now, when you're talking about culture, you do understand that there are different types of cultures, all right? So I'll just name some. Of course, there's a culture like where you're from, your background, right? That's one culture. Then there's a culture of an organization. Like I might work at LAPD. What is the culture of LAPD? Meaning, what is the symbol? What are the symbols? What is the language? What are the terms that are used in LAPD? What is the way of thinking with LAPD? Now, if you're looking at where I'm from, what is my culture and my background? Well, what does my culture represent? What language do we speak? What do we believe? What religion do we follow? What symbols represent us? So you're looking at two different kinds of cultures of people, and then one of an organization. Then you also have the culture, like you go to the hospital, and it's important to know the difference, okay? Because some people don't. You go to the hospital, they collect a culture. They collect blood, they might collect urine. That's all a culture, okay? So it's important to know the different cultures. And again, what language do the people speak, be it from an organization or your background? What symbols? What foods do you eat? What colors represent you? What is the flag? What is the culture? What is the belief system of the people that are in this group? Okay. Then you're going to look at certain words. When we went through culture, you want to know ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism is an extreme belief that of superiority. And I will use the example that maybe one person's culture is better than the other. And the things that take place in one person's culture, they may believe that, like, say, for instance, I can say, I'm Nigerian. Okay, I'm not, but I could say that. And I feel that everyone from Nigeria is better, and the colors that we wear and the outfits that we wear are far superior than people from other places. And the food, you will never find better food than this. I don't care where you're from. I don't care if you're from South Africa, Mexico, China. The food in Nigeria is the best. That's ethnocentrism, okay? But then there is cultural relativism. And cultural relativism is the kind of polar opposite. That is when you find people that seek to relate. And instead of passing judgment, they seek to find commonality or seek an understanding of why you do what you do in your culture, and they appreciate it. So why do you bow when you pray? Why do you wear this on to cover your head? Why do you let the women walk in front, or why do you let the women walk behind? And they seek an understanding. They seek to relate. Relativism, relate. Okay, so those are some of the things that I think you should know, and many of the other ones you can get on your own. I think it's one more I better cover for you, because I don't know so much that we did it with the assignment, and that's the sociological imagination. That is the ability to see things socially and how they interact and influence each other. To have a sociological imagination, a person must be able to pull away from the situation and think from an alternative point of view. So the sociological imagination is saying that you're not just going to take things from face value, but you want to see why things are the way they are. And I will give you an example. When you're dealing with sociological imagination, you apply that to many things that have happened in society. And I'll just choose one. Maybe last year or year before last, there was a big shooting at a concert in Las Vegas. And when that shooting happened, the man who he just sprayed the whole place and killed so many people. It was really sad. And immediately when that took place, the people swooped in. Of course, the law enforcement came. That's an organization. It came, and psychologists came, sociologists came, people came, forensics people came. People came from everywhere, and they immediately want to see why this man. Okay, they knew what he did, but now they were trying to understand what was the motive behind what he did. Well, in order to find that out, they had to use their sociological imagination. They had to look at where the man was from. They had to look at the family he was from and how that affected him. They wanted to know the relationships that he had and how that affected him. And they want to know if he had any psychological issues. What caused him to do this? Was there something lacking in the society where he was from, or did something push him? You use your sociological imagination to determine what is going on with a situation, and that's what they did there. Okay, so do a little more research on sociological imagination, and you want to find out is what is happening. Is it a personal problem or is it a public issue? Is it something going on with things at large, or is this a person no problem? Is he just mental, and was he just born crazy? Okay, or did something happen to make him or cause him and push him to do what he did? So sociological imagination. I'll say one more example. I'm gaining weight. Okay, I'm gaining weight. Now, am I gaining weight because Dion doesn't want to stop eating and Dion doesn't want to exercise? She's just lazy and she just wants to eat and then try to figure it out later? Or is Dion gaining weight because of a public issue? Because see, if I'm gaining weight because I'm just lazy or I want to eat what I want to eat and I don't care, that's a personal problem. But if I'm gaining weight because I live in an area that has no healthy options, no healthy food, and I don't even have a car to even drive to get better food, that's a public issue. Okay, sociological imagination is trying to determine which one it is. So that's something you're going to have to apply in the movie, and you're going to tell me what it is the problem that this person is having. Is it a personal problem, or is it because he's influenced because of where he's from? Okay, so I think that's about everything I want to share with you. Again, I want you to know that I'm in your corner. I'm sending good thoughts, wishes towards you. I'm praying for you. And I just want you to know that we're going to get through this. And I'm proud of the work that you're doing in my class. I know that you're going to do well on your midterm. And again, Dr. Washington is in your corner. Feel free to inbox me if you have any questions. Other than that, I look forward to getting your midterms. Bye-bye.